But that was that day, and then they just said, like, "Hey, let's get back to work right after that." And everybody was kind of, Go ahead.
We knew we had a job to do, right? I mean, we had to. There, we can't take any time off. Let's continue training. Now we know we're going to war.
Yeah, and I think everybody there at boot camp knew it, and that's what they wanted to do after that. We felt bad for the guys who had to leave because, I wouldn't want to leave too if my family was part of that. But I think, we just wanted to get back to, stuff at hand and, get through what we had to get through.
Where was your basic training at?
Great Lakes. Chicago.
Great Lakes. Holy cow, that's crazy. So you get trained in basic training, boom, you're going to technical training school. And then did you get deployed out to a boat at that point in time? Where was your next duty station?
Well, in the Navy, as soon as you get out of boot camp, you go to what's called an A school, which is pretty much you're learning your job. So my next duty station after that for 3 months was Pensacola, Florida. Boo-hoo nice. Me, right? And it was a fun time down there. You learn your job, and then that's kind of the reason that I picked the Navy, is because they get to, in the Navy, you get to kind of pick your job. You might not get to pick your duty station, but you get to pick your job.
Right.
And that's the reason I joined that one. Other than my father being in there, but I really wanted to pick what I wanted to do. So I went down to Pensacola, did my training for my job, and then, you get to go to your duty station. And that's how it was. Wow.
And where was your first duty station?
Virginia Beach. It was actually Little Creek, and it was Assault Craft Unit 4, which was a hovercraft station. So
really, wow. Yeah. So people think Navy, they think you're on a big aircraft carrier, you're on a big gunship, you're on a submarine. Wow, hovercraft?
Yeah. No, I mean that's the thing. When you join the Navy, you're not just on a ship. It depends on your job. So if you're like aviation side, you're not even. You might get deployed to a ship, but you're not stationed on a ship. So. Wow. You can be stationed in a lot of different places and still have the joys of being in the Navy and not being on a ship 24/7, which you could. But, I mean, it depends on your job. So when I joined and I got that duty station at ACU 4, it wasn't even on a ship. But we could get deployed to a ship, but you're just not constantly on a ship. I think that's a misconception with the Navy. So
no, that's great. I'm so glad you cleared that up today too. Thanks so much. We'll take a little break. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Honor Cross Arms podcast. I'm Joshua Littrell, your host, and joined by Josh McCarty today. Josh is a Navy veteran. Josh, so you got deployed up there to Virginia Beach, and you're on this assault craft. Is that correct? Is that's what it was?
Yes, it was. It's actually called LCAC, which is landing craft air cushioned, which is pretty much a hovercraft.
Now, how big is this thing?
Wow. You're making me really go back and talk.
Hey, we ask the tough questions here on the Honor Across Arms podcast.
Okay. From what I can remember, it could hold an Abrams tank, not an A2, but a regular Abrams tank, A1. And then it could hold 6 Humvees or 60 troops in a troop carrier. So that's how, I mean, it's pretty big.
Wow. Now, your job, was it to work on this craft, or did you work on guns? What did you work on during that time?
During that one, that was my first duty station. During that duty station, what we did was corrosion control, corrosion inspection, and fiberglass work.
Josh,
and there was
what does
only
that
about
entail?
7 of us. Do what?
for our listeners, what does that entail? For corrosion control. When they think about that, they think rust, right? Is that what we're talking about, or are we actually talking about seawater and things like that? What are we talking about with that?
We're talking about like fretting, pitting, everything like that. There's different metals that come in with even aviation or with seawater, seaworthy pieces of equipment.
Right.
So, I mean, it's been a while since I went through that school, but I think there's 12 different types of corrosion, and I can't remember them all. But,
Wow.
you have to dissimilar metals, all that kind of mess. And so it's really good, field to get into if you want to,
Sure.
So,
Well, I mean, corrosion control is a huge industry. When you think about
yeah,
ports, all the ships, all the shipping that we've got around the world, and then, dang, you've got pipelines that are underwater. You got all this stuff that they have to think about corrosion for, right? So,
yeah.
absolutely, it's a huge industry.
So, I mean, I was just, I'm glad to have the experience there, and it kind of got me the job that I got today. So,
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. So that was your first duty station. Now you had another duty station after that?
yeah, my next duty station was VFA 15, which I worked on the FA 18 Hornets.
Wow. Wow. So you went from a hovercraft to a dad blame F-18 Hornet. That is
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
So I got to ask the tough question. Which one did you like the best?
Uh, Duty station wise,
Duty
the first one.
station when you
The
think,
first one.
did you really? Did you really?
Yes,
So
yes.
all right. So I asked the question, but then we got to go a little bit deep dive into that. Why did you like it better? What really made the difference for you?
Uh, well, in the Navy, you have what is called duty, and you have watches.
Okay.
And there was more people at that first duty station that I had, so our watches were only. I think when I was in, it was every 12 days. So you only had to stay at the command every 12 days,
Okay.
and you couldn't leave. So then you had a watch, and then you got up the next day and you went back to work. But when I went to the VFA 15 duty station, it was every 3 days. So you couldn't
Gotcha.
leave the command every 3 days. And then you had an 8-hour watch opposed to the 4-hour watches that we had at the other duty station. So,
Wow.
so you can
So
get
where was that 18 duty station at? Was it still in Virginia as well, or was it somewhere
yeah.
else?
It was at Oceana.
Okay, so
Oceana.
you basically just stayed at the same location. You just went to a different essential office, right?
Yeah, yes. So basically, Norfolk has a lot of bases. Virginia Beach has a
Yes.
lot of bases.
Yes.
So it was, I could pick other places, but at the time I was in a relationship, kind of wanted to stay in the same area, so I did.
You know what? Those relationships, they're pesky ones because they'll make you make choices that maybe you necessarily wouldn't always make, right?
True.
I'm a
Very
married
true.
man, so I can say that too. But I will say that all the decisions I make now, very very much so, make me happy as a married man. So
Yes. Yeah, but military is a different animal,
she's a different
So
beast.
yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, Josh, just got a couple more minutes. I think, as we close out, I want to first take a moment just to say thank you again for your service. I can't say thank you enough from me
Well, thank
personally,
you for
but
yours.
from your country. Well, I appreciate that. But from your country, what you've done for us, what you've done to protect the United States, the citizens, your local community, that's huge. And not everybody signs that dotted line. Not everybody, swears to the Constitution, and you've done that. And I want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So
I just go ahead.
I'd love to see if we can get a follow up one scheduled, and let's talk about some history. Let's really get into that history side that you enjoy so much. So, um, just off the top of your head, if we were to have another podcast, what would you like from a historical standpoint to talk about?
No, I'm really into to World War II. The Korean War. I'm still trying to get into that one. Trying to figure out a lot about that.
That's the forgotten one right there.
And Vietnam. I really like that historical, just because it hits home to me because of my family. So I kind of delve deep into that kind of stuff, and I'm trying to learn more and more and more.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll definitely get a second follow-up podcast scheduled, and we'll talk about World War II for sure, because I'm a huge II fan, and not necessarily a fan, but a buff, if you will. And Vietnam, man, I just think those men and women went through so much. Wow. And they basically paved the path for you and I today, right?
And I agree.
So we'll follow up on those for sure. Josh McCarty, thanks so much for joining us today here on the Honor Across Arms podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Littrell. Can't say thank you enough, brother. Really appreciate you and your service. And thanks for joining us here on the podcast today. Heck yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Line over there, send the word over there, that the Yanks are coming, the drums coming everywhere, so prepare, say a prayer, send the word to beware, we'll be over, we're coming over, and we won't come back till it's over there.